I will save Africa and its resources, Ibrahim Traore. Burkina Faso has bagged itself one of the most revolutionary presidents in Africa. The youngest president, not only in Burkina Faso, but also in the world at large, Ibrahim Traore, born on March 14, 1988 in Kira, in the Bondoki, Muhan province in Burkina Faso, has shown to be a reincarnation of Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's president who served from the year 1983 through a coup to his assassination in 1987. Ibrahim Traore received his primary education in Bondoki and attended a high school in Bobo Dioulasso, where he became known as quiet yet very talented. From 2006, he studied at the University of Ouagadougou, where he was part of the Association of Muslim Students. He graduated from the university with honors. Ibrahim Traore joined the army of Burkina Faso in 2009. He was sent to Morocco for anti-aircraft training before being transferred to an infantry unit in Kaya, a town in Burkina Faso's north. He was promoted to lieutenant in 2014. Traore joined a United Nations peacekeeping force called MINUSMA involved in the Mali War. In 2018, he was known as one of the MINUSMA soldiers who showed courage during major rebel attacks in the Timbuktu region. He subsequently returned to Burkina Faso, where he assisted in operations against the escalating jihadist insurgency. Ibrahim Traore fought in the Otapuanyu offensive of 2019 and several other counter-insurgency operations in the country's north. In the year 2020, he was promoted to captain. In January 2022, Traore was part of the coup that ousted the then-president, Paul Henri Damiba. Come October 6, he assumed the position of interim president as head of state, supreme head of the armed forces. Many supporters of the January coup became dissatisfied with the performance of Paul Henri Damiba, the junta's leader, regarding his inability to contain the jihadist insurgency. Traore later claimed that he and other officers had tried to get Damiba to refocus on the rebellion, but eventually opted to overthrow him as his ambitions were devoting away from what we set out to do. The dissatisfaction about the situation was highest among younger officers who fought against the rebels at the front lines. In addition, there were delays in pay for the Cobra troops. When the plotters launched their coup on 30 September, Traore still held the rank of captain. The current rise of military leadership occurs amid a renewed scramble for Africa, where former colonial powers like France and Great Britain and new global players like China, Turkey, India, and Brazil are vying for influence. Unlike the 1884 to 1885 Berlin Conference, which enacted the historical division and exploitation of Africa, there is a growing sense of defiance and self-determination on the continent. Africa is transitioning from a passive spectator to an assertive actor, in a world that is steadily and irreversibly moving from a unipolar moment to a multiplex world. A trend recognized by Amitav Acharya since 2014. Good thing for Africa. In February 2023, Traore's government expelled the French forces assisting in fighting the local insurgency from Burkina Faso. He subsequently declared, "We want to look at other horizons because we want win-win partnerships," supporting the diversification of Burkina Faso's international partnerships. Shortly after, Traore's government expressed support for a federation with Mali, and they both invited Guinea. All three countries are under military leadership, and if it were to become a union, it would be the largest country ruled by military junta. In April, he declared a general mobilization of the population to support the military, as rebel forces continued to increase the rate of their attacks. In the following month, Traore questioned the planned restoration of democracy for 2024, stating that elections could not be held unless the insurgents were pushed back and the security situation had been improved. On 29 July 2023, following the 2023 Russia-Africa Summit, Traore said that the people of his country support Russia, and communicated that a decision had been made to reopen the Russian embassy, which was closed in 1992. According to the newspaper Le Monde, in May 2023, the Traoré regime seems, for the time being, to be favoring the use of its forces in the fight against the jihadists, and has not asked Wagner's Russians for help. During that same Russia-Africa summit, Traoré thanked Russian President Vladimir Putin for deciding to send free grain to African countries. Nonetheless, he expressed that Africa should become self-sufficient in food by the next summit. Traoré spoke on the paradox of wealth and poverty that defines the African continent, rich in resources but impoverished in living conditions. My generation does not understand this. How can Africa, which has so much wealth, become the poorest continent in the world today? And why do African leaders travel the world to beg? He said, adding that the West should not see African presidents as puppets. He also shed light on the migration crisis, where desperate Africans risk their lives seeking better prospects in Europe. In a strong indictment of African leadership, Traoré asked his fellow African leaders to stand up to manipulation by imperialistic forces. He referred to Burkina Faso's VDF, Volunteers for the Defense of the Fatherland, and their struggle against terrorism, saying, since 2019, Burkina Faso has implemented the renowned VDF. They assist our regular army in battling border and internal terrorism. In a powerful conclusion, Traoré evoked the spirit of Thomas Sankara's 1984 UN address, using the phrases, "The slave who is unable to assume his revolt does not deserve to be pitied, and fatherland or death, we shall triumph." These words resonated across social media, igniting passion and determination in African youth. About 39 years ago, Burkina Faso had Thomas Sankara, who ruled from 1993 to 1987. He had a great vision for a better Africa. Thomas Sankara's vision was to promote the well-being of the poorest people in the country by eliminating corruption and dominance of former French colonial power. Sankara went ahead to implement a lot, like preventing famine, agrarian self-sufficiency, land reform, suspension of rural taxes, and vaccination programs against meningitis, yellow fever, and measles. He also focused on building schools, health centers, water reservoirs, and outlawed female genital mutilation, polygamy, and so much more. Ibrahim Traore this time had the same vision as Thomas Sankara, the ideology of prioritizing education, addressing inequality, improving healthcare, and protecting the environment, in line with Sankara's belief in sustainable development, which had him combating desertification in the Sahel by planting over 10 million trees. Ibrahim intends to promote renewable energy sources, invest in eco-friendly initiatives, and encourage responsible agricultural practices to ensure a greener future for Burkina Faso. Concerning education, Traoré believes that education is key to empowerment and nation building, and he proposes investing more in schools, improving access to quality education for all, and promoting vocational training to create skilled laborers. In addition, to address inequality, Ibrahim aims to work towards fair wealth distribution, ensuring that the benefits of economic growth reach every citizen. He also emphasizes the importance of healthcare accessibility and plans to improve healthcare facilities, strengthen primary healthcare services, and make healthcare affordable for all. When it comes to natural resources, Burkina Faso is blessed with great resources. They produce cotton and sorghum, which are important to the Burkinabe people. Due to the importance of sorghum to the Burkinabe economy, the government has dedicated vast sums of money to developing the industry. One of the significant steps that the government has taken to increase sorghum growth in the country is to fund research into new varieties of sorghum. The World Bank estimated that in 2007, roughly 20% of Burkina Faso's total land area was considered arable. Despite the vast amount of arable land in Burkina Faso, the country is not considered self-sufficient in agriculture. Because of that, the Burkinabe government has put in place a measure to grow the farming sector using modern farming methods. Some of Burkina Faso's most important crops include cotton, maize, sorghum, and millet. Recently, Burkinabe farmers have also begun growing sugarcane on a large scale. Burkina Faso is also rich in mineral resources and produces gold, zinc, copper, manganese, phosphate, and limestone in substantial quantities. It also has reserves of diamonds, bauxite, nickel, and vanadium, the most important being gold, with the nation being the fourth largest gold producer on the African continent. However, some of these remain largely unexploited. Africa, as a whole, is the major producer of important metals and minerals such as uranium, which is used to produce nuclear energy, platinum, which is used for jewelry and industrial applications, and nickel, which is used in producing stainless steel, magnets, coins, rechargeable batteries, bauxite, and cobalt, just to name a few. The two most profitable minerals are gold and diamond, producing about 483 tons in 2008, making 22% of the world's total production. South Africa accounting for almost half the produce, then Ghana, Guinea, Mali, and Tanzania being the other major producers. In the same year, 2008, 55% of the world's diamonds came from Africa, Botswana, Angola, South Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Namibia being the largest producers. In 2007, 12.5% of the world's total oil production and 6.45% of total natural gas production came from Africa. Nigeria, Libya, Algeria, Egypt, and Angola dominate Africa's oil industry. All these and so much more. Ibrahim Traore therefore strives to have a united Africa, harnessing collective strength and resources to have a transformed Africa. The African continent possesses all the necessary resources to move forward, rallying to come closer in collaboration. This period of transformation in Africa is marked by support from the African diaspora and the rise of influential figures who resonate with the youth. With its youthful and growing population and rich natural resources, Africa is poised to harness its demographic power to advance towards self-governance. As Africa continues on this path of self-determination, Captain Ibrahim Traore's rallying cry serves as a powerful symbol of a continent that seeks dignity, autonomy, and equitable recognition in the world. His vision is a beacon for a future where Africa stands strong, self-reliant, and equal on the global stage. Ibrahim is confident that with the support of passionate individuals, he can help make Africa a better continent and also create a Burkina Faso that Sankara would be proud of. So we get to understand when Ibrahim Traore says he will save Africa and its resources. But will this quest lead to a great Africa or more violence from the West regime? Thank you for watching. Don't forget to drop a comment, like, and subscribe.